We'll just wait a minute for people to come on in, and then we'll jump in and get started.
Wonderful.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our How to Create an Organised Office webinar for Business South. So we'll start with an acknowledgement of country. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we work, live and meet today. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and we celebrate the stories, culture and traditions of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities who also work and live on this land. So hello, if we haven't met before, I'm Mikala and I am a small business facilitator with Business South. So if you're wondering what Business South does, we are really interested in the startup space and helping people with their business ideas. So we do that through networking events, online webinars and workshops, and creating a sense of community. We refer to lots and lots and lots of different organisations and businesses and support services for lots of different things. So we try really to be the one-stop shop for people starting out in business or just kind of getting started and really getting their businesses off the ground. And currently, most of our services are provided free of charge, but as those who received our newsletter would know, we're undergoing some changes. So once I know exactly what that looks like, you guys will be the first to know. So today I have with me the amazing Karen Capisi from Organised with KLC. And she is going to be presenting this webinar. So right now, I am actually going to hand over to her to take control, and I will mute and hide myself, and you can do your thing.
Lovely, thank you. I will bring up my slides and we can get started.
Oh, and I did forget to mention, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to pop them in either the chat box or the Q&A. And also after the webinar, you'll receive a link with the replay and some further information that Karen wants to provide you. So if you come up with any questions then, please feel free to just hit reply to that email and I can pass them on to Karen for some answers. Now I will officially be quiet and hand over.
Wonderful. Can you just confirm for me, Mikala, that you can see my slide? All good?
Spot on.
Wonderful. Okay, let's get started. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. This is a very big honour for me to do this with Business South. And I'll just start with a little bit of housekeeping. As Mikala said, yes, do pop any questions in the chat and we'll hopefully get to those at the end. And just to make things a little bit easier for us to find your questions in the chat, if you just write the word question and then follow it by your actual question, then that'll be really easy for us to find as we go back through. Do feel free to take photos of the slides as we're going through. It might help to lessen the number of notes that you need to take. So yeah, feel free to take some photos. Today we are going to cover exactly why we should tidy up our office spaces and then go into how to tidy your physical workspace, how to tidy your digital workspace, a little bit about working from home. As entrepreneurs and small business owners, we do often work a lot at home. And then also we'll go into getting organised for productivity with organising our day and then planning ahead into the days, weeks and months ahead of us. Oh, back one. Okay, so just a little bit about me. I am a mum of 3 young boys. We are a neurodiverse household. So, you know, all the bits and bobs that go with that, trying to stay organised and on top of things. I am an entrepreneur with my own business. My business is Organised with KLC. And I'm also an embryologist. I work part-time for an IVF facility. So I'm certified in the KonMari method of organising. And while I do help my clients with KonMari method organisation, I also do the traditional done for you sort of organising. And KonMari was developed by Marie Kondo. A lot of you may be aware of her through her multiple books, and also she's been on Netflix with a couple of series. So as a KonMari consultant, I will be teaching you all today how to organise your workspaces with the KonMari method as a guide. So I'll just start with a little bit of the basics about the KonMari. We start by setting a really detailed goal about what you're hoping to achieve with organising your office or any space. Really picture exactly what it's going to look like and the benefits that process is going to bring to your life. And then we go through and we declutter the space first. And we do that by category rather than by room or area. And it's a bit of a different focus when we're decluttering. We focus on what we're going to keep rather than what we're going to discard. And the way we choose what we're going to keep is by looking at things that are going to bring us joy and are going to help us to perform our roles better. And then organisation is left until last, and we need to keep it very simple and accessible so that it's a lot easier to put things away rather than making it too complicated. I'd like to also point out that KonMari is not minimalism. KonMari is very much about finding the perfect balance of belongings for you and the way you want to live. And again, that's a completely different mindset around finding joy in your belongings and joy in your space, and also what you want to keep in your space. So we then go beyond tidying your space with KonMari. Once you find joy in your belongings and in your space, we then naturally start to look at joy in other aspects of our life. So just a little word from the guru to get us started. A messy environment taxes the brain. When surrounded by clutter, our brains are so busy registering all the things around us that we can't focus on what we should be doing in the moment, such as tackling the work on our desk or communicating with others. We feel distracted, stressed, and anxious, and our decision-making ability is impaired. Now, I'm sure we've all felt like this at one point or another. Why is it that we feel more relaxed when we're in a hotel room? Or why do we get more done when we're in a co-working space? I really think this is because our surroundings have been simplified and our brains are overwhelmed with the excess that's around us. Now, I really am a scientist at heart, and I think that's why KonMari really spoke to me with its methodical approach. So as a scientist, I will be sharing a little bit of research as we go through. I really hope that this helps to cement what I'm sharing with you. There's been a lot of research into the effects of organisation, and this particular document states that being surrounded by too many things increases our cortisol levels, and we know that that is the primary stress hormone. So clinically high or chronically high cortisol levels lead to conditions such as depression, insomnia, heart disease, hypertension, and diabetes. And then all these things can also increase our risk of developing dementia later in life. Bit scary, really, isn't it? As we've seen from the previous slide, disorganisation can really affect our mental and physical health. But there are also the monetary costs, problems with productivity, and these things can affect our career progression and then our overall job satisfaction. So the idea of why we want to tidy up is to really make our work more enjoyable. Another little spot from research. The search for lost things adds up to a whole work week per year per employee. And in the US, this has been estimated at a US $89 billion annually. And it's also been found that the tidier a person's desk, the more likely they are to be seen as ambitious, intelligent, confident, friendly, and more industrious. And they're also more likely to gain other people's trust and be promoted. So you can see that becoming more organised can really positively impact your business and the way people view you. Now, this is an office space that I worked in recently. So I think you can agree that this feels very overwhelming, like you're drowning in paper, very difficult to find what you need, and can you really work to the best of your ability? I think we've all had an office space like this at one point or another. Then compare it to this space. This feels much calmer, more organised. And you can see that everything has a home and it's much easier to find what you need. And really, you can work a lot more productively in this space. So how do we do it? How do we create this more organised space? Well, like I mentioned, using this KonMari method, we declutter first. So we go by category and in the correct order of clothes, followed by books, papers, then all the miscellaneous items that don't fit into those previous categories. And then any sentimental items that we find while we're going through those categories, we leave that until last. We need to really focus in on what we're going to keep, not what we're going to discard. It's a much more positive way of looking at our belongings. And we keep only those things which we know are going to help us to perform our work to our best, and those things that are really going to support us and bring us joy. So I'll just go through each of the categories and give you a little bit of tips on how to go through decluttering each category. Now, when it comes to clothes, this is the first KonMari category, but we don't really have a lot of clothes in our workspace. But depending upon your job, the clothes that are there are usually very important to your role. So we'll just skip forward to the books category. Okay, so yes, with books, we only keep those items that are going to really help you to perform your job better. So these are a couple of questions that you can ask yourself as you're decluttering your books, and they can really help you to work out which ones you're going to keep. So think, have you already read this book? Are you going to keep it to refer back to? Will keeping this book help you to perform your job better? And is it one of those someday books that someday you might get to it, but will someday ever actually arrive? And maybe you can just get the information online. Maybe you don't need the physical book with you. And is it possible to borrow the book if you need it one day? If parting with this book, is it really going to be the end of everything? Or can you find it again if you really do need it? Then on to paper. Paper is a huge category for a number of people out there. Paper can be very drowning. We are all surrounded by paper. And really our aim when we declutter is to get rid of everything, get rid of all paper. It sounds a bit scary, I know, but there are exceptions to this rule. There are those papers that are truly necessary for us to keep. There's the tax and the procedural documents, legal things, of course, that we need to keep. But keep in mind, can these be digitised? Can we put them back into our computer somehow and not actually hold on to all those physical pieces of paper? But then the items that we do need to keep, try to store them vertically in file holders. Not only does it take up a lot less space, but it's easier to see what you've got rather than sitting flat in an inbox, as an example. And aim for 3 main overarching categories of paper. There's the things that require immediate attention, your inbox, as it were. Then there's the items that you need for a current project that you're working on. And then, of course, those items that you need to keep indefinitely. Now, miscellaneous is the next category, and these are all those extra items that don't fit into the previous couple of categories. They're your pens and your pencils, your electronics, everything else. I love when you're going through these miscellaneous items to download my declutter checklist. This is a free download that I will be sharing with you at the end of the talk. And this is a very good category for remembering joy in function, finding joy in the function of an item. If that item really helps you to perform your job to the best, then that is joy. I mean, a stapler doesn't necessarily bring you joy, but if it staples your papers properly, then joy in function. Okay, sentimental is the last KonMari category, and really anything can be sentimental. We put aside the sentimental items as you work through the previous categories, and we deal with them at the end. And this way you're able to rely on your heightened sense of joy that you've developed while tidying, and really keep those things that will inspire you each day and help you to make your workplace a more joyful and uplifting environment. And consider taking a photograph. If you really want to let the item go that you're finding difficult, taking a photograph can be really helpful. So now, how do you actually organise your physical space now that you've decluttered it? Well, using small cardboard boxes as drawer inserts from, your phones, things like that, they can work really well to help corral your items. And look at storing similar items together. So, your pens and your pencils together, but also look at perhaps the more overarching category, the family that the items are in, so like a stationery drawer, for example. And store items vertically wherever possible. Again, this takes up a lot less space, but you're also able to see what you've got. If things are piled on top of each other, you can't see what's underneath. And then also look at your vertical spaces around you. If it's possible, try adding some shelves to add to your storage space. And do look at what you already have before you go out and purchase new organisational products. So many people get very excited by tidying up their space. They go out and buy all these tubs and bins and get very excited with all these products that they're purchasing. But then when they come to organising their space, they find they don't need all of those things. They've already got a lot of it. And then all these new products that you've purchased are just adding to your clutter. And finally, of course, add labels. Adding a label helps so much with being able to put things back, but also being able to locate them again. This is a little before and after of an office door. You can see from the before photo, it really wasn't being utilised to the best of its ability. But then by adding a couple of cardboard boxes, we're really able to corral all of these stationery items together. And you can see that there are similar items placed into the boxes to keep things together. Also like to encourage you to look at tidying up your cables as well, by adding cable ties or even a bulldog clip like you can see in this after photo. It's so much easier to find exactly which label you want, especially if you just add a little label to the bulldog clip, then you can find the cable you need when you want it. Okay, yes, so working from home, a lot of us small business owners, we do work from home, and I'd like to encourage you to really be realistic about your level of organisation. If you need to have some things out because there's a project that you're working on, that really is okay. And consider your view when you're working. If you're sitting at the dining room table, don't sit facing the kitchen sink that's full of dishes waiting to be done. Try to orientate yourself so that you can see out the window, or you're facing a really joy-sparking piece of artwork on the wall in front of you. Also encourage you to set some office hours if you're working from home. It's all too easy just to answer that email that's just popped up in your inbox, or you'll just finish that document while you're eating dinner. But really, non-working time is just as important as working time. And if you're lucky enough to have a dedicated office in your home, try to work within the office and don't spill out into the rest of the house. And when your work is done for the day, close the door on your office. This is a really great way to shut off from work and move from work time into home or family time. And we'll move on now to decluttering your digital space. So looking at computer desktop, really try to clear and simplify this space. This is often the first area that you see when you open up your computer. So we want it to be a calming space. Don't want it to become overwhelmed the moment we open up our computer. Often there's lots of unused files and folders everywhere. So really try to clear these and simplify them. Add just a few folders to corral your documents and make it easier to find. And maybe even try adding a joy sparkling image to your background. Then when it comes to the actual digital files, try to delete all those unwanted items. But if you've got lots and lots of old unwanted items, don't waste time going through and deleting lots and lots of things. Try creating an archive folder and place the date on it, and then put all those old documents into it. Then if you do actually need those in the future, you can just do a search within that folder to find the item that you need. And of course, try not to be too minute with how you're organising your folders. Don't have, 20, 30, 40 different small folders with individual things in them. Try to limit your folders to, say, 10, no more. And then again, use the search folder within the files so that you can find what you need. Really try to keep it simple. Okay, so again, another little bit from research with our emails. It's found that the more time you spend on email, the lower your productivity and the higher your stress levels. And also it's found that the typical office worker spends half of their day dealing with emails alone. And just one single email interruption in your day can take 26 minutes for you to get back to where you left off. So, let's see what we can do about all these emails that we get. Try allocating email office hours. This is really helpful for many people. So maybe just 30 minutes at the start or at the end of your day. That's when you deal with those emails. Maybe inform your clients, your co-workers, how they can contact you in between times if there are any emergencies that crop up. And try to reduce your incoming emails by unsubscribing to anything that no longer serves you or brings you joy. And remember this KonMari mindset shift of from what you're going to discard to what you're going to keep. Aim, if you can, to delete all emails in your inbox, except for those that will help you to perform your job in the future. Reading them again will provide you with knowledge, or maybe they spark joy. A really nice client referral. So move those keep emails into folders, but see if you can limit these again, just like with the digital files. Maybe again, no more than 10. And remember that you can use that search function within your folders if you need to find an email. Again, try using an archive folder. Place all, like this person, you've got 9,000 emails in your inbox. That's a lot to go through and delete. So just move everything over into an archive folder, place the date on it, and then, have a nice clean start. So you're not wasting time going back through and deleting everything. And of course, they're all still there if you need them in the future. Meetings. We've all been to a meeting that really didn't need to happen. It just ends up being a bit of a waste of everybody's time. So if you are holding meetings, try to only hold them if they are really truly beneficial to have it as a meeting, and also include only the people that really need to be present. We don't want to waste other people's time as well. So think about, can this meeting actually just be an email, maybe a phone call or two? And if you really do need to have these meetings, set a really clear agenda and share that with everybody who will be attending. Be really clear on who will be running the meeting, so that they can keep everybody to time and keep us to the agenda rather than us going off onto tangents. And try to come prepared to the meeting as well, so we're not wasting time. Okay, we'll look now at planning out our work day. So again, set your office hours and try to stick to them. And I recommend that everybody start each day with creating a to-do list. And I really recommend doing this with pen and paper. Sitting down and physically writing out the list can really help to cement it in your mind. And I always recommend starting with something about your state of mind for the day. Something like, I'm going to have a joyful and productive day today, something really empowering. And maybe then add something to your list that's going to be a really quick win, something that you can get out of the way before you move on to those harder tasks for the day. And consider performing different tasks on different days, even if it's just 30 minutes at the start or at the end of your day. So like on Mondays, it might be your admin and planning head duties. Tuesdays, maybe it's social media and marketing. Wednesdays is your invoice day. Now have a think about what's going to create the best flow for you in your work, and what's going to make you more productive. When it then comes to the actual work of the day, maybe consider blocking your work day. And one method that works really well here is the Pomodoro technique. So this is a productivity and time management tool. You start by identifying a task or tasks that you need to complete. And of course, this is where your daily to-do list comes in. We then set a time for 25 minutes and work on a task with no distractions. So turn off all the notifications to your social media, your emails, and then really focus in and work on that task. Then when the alarm sounds, take a 5-minute break. Then you repeat the process 3 more times before we take a 30-minute break, and then we can start again. Now, of course, anybody can use this method, but it's especially good for anyone who's an ADHD or maybe you have trouble with time blindness or hyperfocus. Now, when it comes to planning further ahead, not just our work day, calendars, of course, are a brilliant tool. Both digital and paper work really well. I really recommend trying to sync your calendar with your partner, but also your private calendar so that you don't double book yourself. And then also when your partner is aware of everything that is going on in your business, then maybe they can be a little bit more supportive with you. Digital project managers are a really great way of planning your work into the future. Asana and Monday are 2 such examples, and they've got a free service. So, you can give them a bit of a try. I highly recommend giving those a go. And then social media planners as well. Latter and Buffer are 2 such ones that, again, they've got a free version. We can book in our social media posts for a week or a month ahead, and then we're not having to post every single day. Plan it and set it and forget it. And I love my whiteboard calendar. That's one that I've got the wall just over there. So if I'm in a meeting or talking with somebody, I just have to glance over and I know exactly what I've got for the whole month ahead of me. No flipping through phones or paper diaries. It's just up ready for me to see. Okay, so I really hope that you've gained some really valuable and useful tools from today, and that you're really keen to become more organised in your workspace. Take it one step at a time, and if you need it, seek help. Without support the process can become very overwhelming. And body doubling is a tool that can be very helpful. This is where you work side by side with another person on your own separate spaces. Beware if you've got a co-work friend or partner that is going to help you with organising, because while they may be keen, they don't have the training of a professional organiser, and they often try to impart their own personal views on your space and not truly support you in creating a space that's going to work effectively for you as an individual. Whereas a professional, on the other hand, is non-judgmental. They can suggest unique ways to solve even the most complex of organisational products. And of course, they should not be imparting their personal preferences on your space. So if you are interested in working with somebody or with me, I am Tasmania's first KonMari consultant, and I am the only one servicing Southern Tasmania. I do also assist my clients with these done-for-you traditional methods of organisation, and I also do virtual sessions with clients via Zoom. So I'd like to think that I've got a service to suit everybody. And today I'd like to offer everybody a free clutter breakthrough session with me. This is 30 minutes via Zoom. We'll get on together and look at your individual organising issues and make a plan as to how you can go about tackling those, whether that's working with me or just working by yourself. I will help you to create a plan to move forward. And yes, parting tips for everybody. If you are experiencing some rebound after you've gone through and decluttered your space and got organised, there's two main areas where you could have fallen down that have led to rebound. There is, of course, not decluttering properly in the first place. And then also your organisational methods were just too complex. So remember to keep things simple and accessible. And if you've been searching in 2, 3, 4, 5 different places before you find the item you've been looking for, don't put it back where you found it. Put it back where you looked for it the first time, because chances are that's where it should have gone, because that's where you thought to look for it the first time. And don't give up. Seek help if you need it. And if you try to organise a space and it's just not working, try something new with the space. Try to move things around and give it a go. Keep tweaking. Don't give up entirely. Book a time into your calendar to do this decluttering and organising. Just like if you're planning a trip to the gym or something, book it in and get it done. And you might think, well, this is all well and good, but I just don't have the time. I'm so busy. You will get the time back and then some. Remember, the reason why we're doing this declutter and organisation is to save you time and to increase your productivity on the back end. And of course, you download my declutter checklist. I'll get Nicola to pop in those links for you all now. There is a little bit of an issue with the link to the declutter checklist, but I will have that fixed shortly after our webinar finishes. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And I'll open the floor to questions if anyone's got any.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen. I've just added both of those links, but I will also include them in the follow-up email in case, the second one, the checklist doesn't work for you just yet. There was some really good information in that. Thank you for that. I've got a background in productivity and I took some notes and went, I thought of that one. So
great.
That was really fantastic. And of course, you've just over half an hour. Succinct, short, efficient. Love it.
Lots of time for us to have a chat about anybody's individual spaces if they want to.
No problem. Well, it doesn't look like we've got any questions.
No, good.
So what we might do, we might just end the webinar there. And as I said
Okay.
before, if anyone does have any questions when you're watching the replay or watching it, for the first time, if you haven't been at this live one, or if you go away and then think, I would have really liked to ask that, please hit reply to the follow-up email, and I will happily pass your questions on to Karen, but also take advantage of the breakthrough session that she has offered, because that's very, very generous.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. And
thank you for having me.
That's my absolute pleasure. And we look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Yes, come join one of those coffee and connections. They're great. Come say hi.
Yes, final coffee and connections of the year next week, I think, in Glenorchy, but it's on our website. So absolutely.
Yes, I'll be there.
Wonderful. Thanks, Karen. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye now.